1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
It is the Friday edition of Areva Martin in Real Time. Avi Bernard here with you. Let's get you caught up. A magnitude 5.7 earthquake shook a remote part of Hawaii's Big Island just a few hours ago. No tsunami is expected, according to the National Weather Service's Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. The earthquake, which occurred at 10:06 a.m. Hawaii time, which is 1:06 p.m. Pacific time, produced very strong shaking near the epicenter. President Joe Biden forcefully defended himself against charges that he suffers from memory loss, delivering remarks last night at the White House in response to Special Counsel Robert Hur's report on his handling of classified information. In a separate special counsel investigation, Donald Trump has been charged with 40 federal counts related to his retention of classified documents. As negatively as the Hur report portrays President Biden, that same report also says there are clear differences between the Biden and Trump classified documents investigations. Biden alerted authorities about the documents and cooperated with the investigation, while Trump did the opposite, enlisting others to destroy evidence. Then he lied about it. In the United States, Black adult women are 6 times more likely to be killed than their white counterparts, according to troubling new data. A paper published yesterday in the Lancet Medical Journal analyzed homicide rates of Black women ages 25 to 44 across 30 states. The data was collected between 1999 and 2000 by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's National Vital Statistics System. United States Republicans are shameful for blocking fresh military aid to Ukraine and holding the country hostage to some other political objective, according to staunchly conservative former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott. Abbott, the ex-leader of the centre-right Liberal Party in Australia, said that Republican U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson has been all politics and no statesmanship in his handling of the issue. Russian President Vladimir Putin kept returning to one message over and over again in his meandering 2-hour interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson, and that message was that Russia wants to negotiate a peace deal in Ukraine on Russia's terms. That message seemed aimed at the American right and Republicans in Congress with an eye to undermining support for aid to Ukraine. The Church of England's governing body will debate adopting fresh commitments on homosexuality and same-sex couples when it meets later this month, the church said today, acknowledging that there remained profound disagreement on the matter. The Church of England, central to the Anglican communion of 85 million believers across the world, does not allow same-sex marriage, standing by its teaching that marriage is between a man and a woman. However, the centuries-old institution has been wrestling with ways to make people in the LGBTQ community feel more inclusive in its churches, and it has apologized for the hostile and homophobic response some had faced. Comedian Colin Jost will be tasked with entertaining journalists and Washington's political elite at the White House Correspondents' Dinner this year, the association announced today. Jost, who co-anchors Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update segment, will be the featured entertainer at the annual dinner on April 27th. Jost began writing for SNL in 2005 and has hosted Weekend Update since 2014 alongside comedian Michael Che. And finally, are you feeling lucky? This Sunday, millions of viewers will be glued to the Super Bowl, but they won't just be watching for the football. They'll have money, sometimes thousands of dollars, on the line. Americans wager billions of dollars on the Super Bowl, the year's biggest day for sports betting. But in recent years, since the Supreme Court allowed states to legalize gambling on sports in 2018, the industry has exploded. The sheer number of possible bets has also skyrocketed. Fans can venture far beyond who's going to win the game, and they can bet on things like who will win the coin toss, which player will score the first touchdown, will Christian McCaffrey rush for more than 90 yards, and, most importantly, what color of Gatorade will be dumped on the winning coach. When we come forward, I want to talk about this really interesting interview that the rapper Logic, one of my favorite rappers, had with his father. And so he has a very complicated and checkered history with his father, who's been in and out of his life largely due to drug addiction. And it's really an interesting conversation. And I have a story of meeting my father at a later age also that I will share. And I'm looking forward to having this conversation, as well as, of course, we have to do a Super Bowl preview. Got to do that. It's 2 days before the Super Bowl. It's the day before the day before. So we'll get into that as well this hour when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580 on the second hour of the group chat.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough.
She's so smooth, so... I'm interrupting my own shower to remind you to treat your skin like the queen she is with Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash, packed with Olay's highest level of vitamin B3 complex. It's so moisturizing that it will give you visibly smoother, head-turning skin in just 14 days. People wondering, how'd she get so smooth? Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. Also, try Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Discover, this is Daniela.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great, but with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Do you like asparagus and mushroom sorbet? I've got leftovers.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
like a. I've been feeling like a postman. Sending letters to the people, all the letters that I got. I'm like an old man. Hold up, wait a old man. Let me back up in this, platinum in this, I'm rapping in this, running the game. Yeah, I've been lapping in this. No, it's alright. Fuck round and they all might look at a brother different. I've been at it all night. I think I said it, but I know I do it. This for everybody going through it like whoa, do it like whoa, do it like whoa, going through it like whoa. You already know, better get it like whoa, and this bitch like whoa, get it like whoa. Let's go.
That's right.
I'ma get it
Like whoa, indeed. It's Logic right there with Like Whoa. We're going to talk about Logic and a really interesting conversation he had with his father. It's a conversation that I'm especially interested in because of having an absentee father myself. And I know that a lot of us have dealt with issues like this. And, you know, Logic said something during this interview with his dad. It's on his Logically Speaking podcast. And he said, I'm a man of my word today because you aren't. And that one was like, I could really identify with that because I didn't know my father growing up. I always knew that when I became a father, my son was always going to know where I am. And so let's pull up this clip, Andy, and just hear it's over an hour conversation that they have. Let's just hear a quick snippet.
I waited every weekend and you never showed up. And you always said that you would. What is it like as a man who used a substance that would allow you to make that little boy wait forever?
The things in which, like, I have done in my past have come back to haunt me, okay? You know, because, like you say, peace, love, and positivity, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, how can you have peace, love, and positivity if you don't have experience, strength, and hope? Because they both come together.
So that's just a clip from the middle of the conversation, and this is not something. And if you watch the thing, this is not something that Logic planned to have that emotional reaction. He planned to have the discussion, but he didn't expect or plan to have that reaction because it came on him really quickly. And when you watch it, he's like, I'm trying to get emotional, and then it's just like, well, maybe I am, and it just came like bam. And I get that because apparently they've never had this particular conversation, and so I just wanted to bring this up because we here on the group chat are three black fathers who are not absentee. And so, and you know, you guys don't have to get into any specifics about your personal history or anything, but just, I don't know, just your thoughts about reconciling with a parent and what that dynamic is like, and why, I don't know why it's important to be there. I mean, it may sound like a broad question, and it is, but that's intentional. I want you guys to kind of just, whatever kind of thoughts come in when you hear something like that, because for me, my experience was from the time I was 4 to my early to mid 30s, I did not see my father at all, and it's not like we were in different locations. You know, dude lived in Highland Park. You know, he's like in the same city this whole time, and I'm spending the majority of my life in the city too. You know, I left a couple times to go to college, but it wouldn't have been hard. And so I went because he lived in the same house they lived in when I was born, and so I went once, and the first time I went, he wasn't there. I think it was probably a couple of years before I went again, and just to see where I come from, you know, just kind of maybe meet some other members of my family and things like that. So I went, and then, you know, he answered the door, and it was a little weird. I said, you know, saying, "Oh, hey, I'm your son," but yeah, it was weird. I mean, he was nice about it, and he was, you know, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry." I was like, "Oh, I didn't come for an apology, but I just kind of wanted to see where I come from," and so. And it's funny because in this interview, Logic talks about how his dad would ask him for money, even though they weren't really on good terms. Like, the first thing he would always ask him for is money. And when I went to see my estranged father, you know, before I left, he's like, "Oh, by the way, can you give me a ride down to?" I'm like, okay. But yeah, just a really fascinating conversation, and I wanted to get y'all's two takes on this. Dr. Fletcher, we can start with you.
It's a deep issue. It really is. When we talk about our parents, absentee or present yet not engaged, right? Like there's levels to it. There are some parents who are physically absent, like Logic, and unpacking his story with his dad. But then there are also parents and fathers who are actually physically present, yet children feel very disconnected. And when we talk about how important our and I'll just talk about fathers since that's what the nature of this segment is about. When we talk about the importance of a father being around, that helps to shape your identity as a young boy, as a young girl. And when that is taken away from you, it's broken. And yes, there are other sort of surrogate figures who may step in to try and patch that up. But under that patch is still some brokenness that's there that has to be addressed. And I applaud both of them, but specifically Logic for sitting down and addressing it and confronting it while his father is still here. Because I hate when folks come to that realization that there's some unaddressed issues that have shown up in their lives, but the person they need to address it to most desperately is no longer with us. So in this particular situation, I applaud him. It is so important that we, through various methods, I, for one, I am an advocate and I take advantage of therapy myself to talk through issues that I have that allow me to arrive at situations like Logic has, where he has a sit-down conversation to confront those issues, and you see what comes out of it. Those suppressed feelings that we oftentimes just keep moving through our lives, trying to soldier through it. And then when that moment comes, it's like that little boy pops up again who's hurt. And that's what came out when I saw little snippets of that interview. It was a young boy who was confronting his dad again, and he was hurt. And that was his opportunity that hopefully he gets some healing from.
Exactly, and that's what Logic said during that interview, or during that conversation. It's like, this isn't even me. This is like the little boy in me that's still so damaged from that experience. So yeah, let's bring you in here, Danny. Where are you thinking? Where are you going with this? Oh, did we lose Danny? Danny, you there?
Sorry if you guys hear any noise in the background. But this is the thing: the father situation. When it's dysfunctional, when there's issues, you have to lean on yourself, your family, and those who want instigate a negativity with the situation, because it is what it is, right? It's nothing you can do. You can't just make up through thin air 30 years, 20 years. You can't do that, right? So it's all about the individual with the strength, the guidance, the acceptance, the forgiveness. It's a lot of things that go into play. I haven't seen my biological dad, since under the age of 10, closer to probably 7 or 8. And that wasn't because he came to see me. My mother took me by there. And last time I checked, from what I hear, he's here locally, has another family, and,
wow.
Him and my mother wasn't married. But I haven't been too shabby, and I've been through a few things here and there, but have done pretty well for myself. And it's not like I'm looking for anything, but
right.
It'd be nice to to reconcile, to have some form of relationship. So I get it, but that's not the end of the world. The thing I have to do is to move forward and to help lead by example. You can't change the past, you can change right now. And don't do the same thing. Don't reciprocate that. Move forward. You know what I mean? I don't want to harp on that. Let's move forward. I've done well, and I want to continue to pass that on. and, you know, to my family. And I just harp on the situation. And if God brings us back together and I can see him, I would love that, you know. You got a lot of time, a lot of things to make up, but it's nothing I can do. And I just don't want to harp on the negativity. I really want to move forward and just cherish the fact that I'm here, and don't make that same mistake. You know what I mean? Because you miss out on a lot. You know what I mean? And I wasn't a bad kid, you know. Never went to juvenile hall, you know, never did nothing crazy, never got in trouble like that. And it's almost, it makes you feel like ashamed, or like what did I do? Like, I'm not good enough and all that. I didn't feel that way, you know, because I was accomplished. But the more I became accomplished, the less I forgot about it. But before I became accomplished, I used to think like that. But what about the kid that's not an All-American playing basketball at Crenshaw or UNLV or wherever I was? What about the kid that's going through some things and needs that dad, needs some guidance, and that dad is not there? And a lot of times this stuff happens because, you know, relationships or the person that you're dating currently, or your wife, or your family, or the issues that you have with the child's mom come into play, and that hampers the relationship. And as a man, I understand that. I understand that, but you have to get past that and look at the child, look at what you're doing. And you sometimes you got to be, you know, selfish to be selfless. Say it again. Sometimes you got to be selfish to be selfless. You got to put your personal relationship and your personal stuff aside and go out there and go get your daughter. You know, go spend time with your son. Have a relationship. Do what you got to do, because you can't make up time. You can't. And that creates generational curses, family dysfunctionality, all kind of stuff, because people have secrets, people hold grudges, and you hear a lot of people bashing dads that they never met, that died. He could have did. You don't know what that man or that woman could have done, because you don't know the situation. You was not there. You were a child, or you was not born. You don't understand that. So my thing is, I don't want to have that same narrative, and I don't want to be the author of that book. I'm just moving forward. I can't go back. That's just me personally.
Yeah, really great insight there, Danny. And in Logic's father's case, you know, he had a drug addiction problem, and that, I think, was part of the reason for his absenteeism, if that's a word. But in my father's case, I don't believe he has that excuse. I don't think he had any issues like that. And I think some dudes just ain't up to it. Some dudes just can't do what's right in that way. They just don't have it in them, and they just don't. I don't know. They can't be responsible and have that relationship. They just they just can't do it. It's just not in them. And like you said, Dr. Fletcher, I would like to have a deeper conversation with them. But I mean, at what point is it no longer on me? I mean, I took a huge step on 2 separate occasions and went over there, and we exchanged information, and I haven't gotten a call from him. You know, so. But I did, and part of the reason, like I said, was me going over there was I did develop a good relationship with my sister on that side, who I hadn't ever met before that, or not since I was a little kid. So, yeah, man, it's just a really crazy conversation. And did you want to jump in? I see you got the headphones on.
This question, first off, I'm not a father, not a parent or anything like that. It's interesting because I know we're going to talk about sports a little bit later, and it's just interesting that we guys are having this conversation right now because, you know, we talk about today's generation, and I'm looking at it from, you know, the sports perspective, right? And they always talk about how today's generation is soft, right? And I look at it like every generation you always want to improve, right? So I look at, you know, my current generation, I'm a millennial or whatnot, and my generation's parents weren't around, right? Now we're adults, we have kids, we want to do everything that we want to do to support our children, to show them love, right? But then yet we diss the current generation, the young generation, because they're soft. But yet we try to provide a better life for them. So I don't know, it was just an observation that you know what I'm saying, that I realized, and I'm just curious to know, like, how do we balance, maybe, I don't know if it's tough love, I don't know what it is, but it's just interesting that, you know, we try to prevent them from the struggle and all that, but yet we complain that these kids are spoiled. You know what I'm saying? They're privileged. They're soft. It's just an interesting observation that I made.
That is an interesting dichotomy. That is a really it's a really thoughtful perspective there, Andy, because I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, it's true. You know, oh, you soft. When I was your age, we had to do so and so, and well, isn't that the point, that you ain't got to do that no more? So you want them to be traumatized like you were traumatized? I mean, this whole soft thing, people love to call people soft, but and in some cases maybe it's appropriate when you're talking about sports, but in life, I mean, yeah, man.
I guess I guess despite the struggles that you guys went through, right? I think there were still some positive values that came out of that struggle, right? It made you stronger. It made you maybe love maybe even more stronger. And I don't know if that type of stuff is translating to our younger generation, because we're maybe giving them too much love. I'm not saying don't love your kids or anything like that. It's just weird.
I think you're more likely to be able to give love if you receive love. And so I think people like me and maybe like Danny, I think we love in spite of, not because of. And so there's that. And Danny, I know you got to go. And so we're not going to be able to have the Super Bowl conversation with you. So are you going to give a pick before you bounce, or what's up? What you got?
Man, I got the Chiefs, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going with the narrative, man. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I know it's not the narrative. You're on the right side of history.
And Dr. Fletcher said, "Good man," because he's a Chiefs fan, being from Missouri. So appreciate you, Danny, and thanks for having the conversation. And we'll talk to you during the next group chat. Appreciate you.
Okay, fellas, appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. When we come forward, since you're abandoning us, Dr. Fletcher and I will have the Super Bowl discussion without you, and but we will have you here with us in spirit, and I'm sure we'll get Andy to chime in as well after this news, traffic, and sports update on KBLA Talk 1580.
Areva time is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Tyreek Wynn. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A group of black voters from St. Petersburg joins others from around the state to lobby state lawmakers in Tallahassee on Equal Ground Day. Trinia Cox with the St. Petersburg branch of the NAACP tells News Channel 8 they don't want Florida to go backwards on civil rights and human rights issues. Cox says they're concerned about bills to abolish local police review boards, raise the voting threshold to change the state constitution, education, and voting access. The first trailer is being released for the latest installment in the Quiet Place franchise. A Quiet Place Day 1 explores the very beginning of the invasion of deadly aliens with hypersonic hearing that terrorized Earth. It stars Lupita Nyong'o, Alex Wolff, Joseph Quinn, and Jumanji Hansu. The first two films were directed by John Krasinski, although this movie is helmed by Michael Sarnowski. That's the latest. I'm Tyreek Wynn on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Santa Monica traffic is stopped right now on the eastbound side of the 10 between 20th Street and the 5-101 split, adding an hour-and-a-half delay to your commute. Also seeing brake lights in Monrovia on the 210 eastbound. An earlier crash at Huntington Drive has been cleared, but traffic still recovering from the 134 with a 30-minute delay. In Hollywood, lots of brake lights on the southbound side of the 101. It's slow and go between Highland Avenue and the 10 with a 45-minute delay.
Temperatures getting low, but demand remaining high? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Exciting game last night at Crypto.com. The Lakers put up a spirited effort against Denver, but lost by 8. The defending NBA champs got a combined 80 points from Michael Porter Jr., Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray. Nice game from Anthony Davis, 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 block shots. LeBron finished with 25. The Lakers are back at Crypto tonight to take on New Orleans. The Lakers and Clippers made no moves before Thursday's NBA trade deadline. The Lakers are 27-26 and 2.5 games out of the playoffs. If there's a turnaround over the final 29 games, the Lakers will have to do it with their current roster. Kobe Bryant's statue was unveiled Thursday afternoon in a private indoor ceremony at Crypto. The 19-foot statue weighs 4,000 pounds and has a QR code that takes you to a video highlight of Kobe narrated by Denzel Washington. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyaudio.media.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyaudio.media.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, home of the 2024 Climate Justice Campaign.
It's time to represent your community in the 2024 presidential primary election. When you vote, you get to decide what is best for you, your neighborhood, and your family. Use your power. Make a plan to vote today. Visit plan.lavote.gov. That's plan.lavote.gov to get everything you need to vote in the March 5th presidential primary election. Brought to you by the Los Angeles County Registrar.
LADWP is proud to partner with KBLA to share with you how to start the new year without bill worries. We're here to help if you're behind on your bill or need help staying current. Sign up anytime online for Level Pay to set predictable monthly payments throughout the year, including for past due amounts. You can also check out the special extended pay arrangements of up to 48 months to help pay down your bill. If you're a senior or income qualified, you may be eligible for Easy Save to receive discounts and also qualify for free and discounted energy and water saving devices. You can get up to $15,000 for past due water and or sewer bills and up to $3,000 for electric bills. But you gotta act fast. Funding is limited. You can reduce your past due bills and kick off the year right, because here at LADWP, we're here to help. Visit ladwp.com/cares today and find out more.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Back on the Friday edition. If you want to be involved in the conversation, 800-920-1580 is the number to call, 800-920-1580. And did you know that KBLA Talk 1580 is your election information station, and we just released our first ever survey of Black LA County voters. The groundbreaking results highlight a wide-open LA County District Attorney's race, plus the Black community's views on crime, criminal justice, and other key issues that are not being addressed by the DA candidates. To see the unique results of our very first political poll of likely Black voters in LA County, hit our website at kbla1580.com. That's kbla1580.com. And while you're there, check out the rundown of all the candidates we have interviewed to date. And you should definitely take a moment to fill out our climate justice survey. No talk station in Southern California is covering this important election like we are, because at KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. All right, we're here with Dr. Fletcher, Dr. Sean Fletcher of San Jose State University. Appreciate you finding time to join us despite all of the craziness you had going on with the Super Bowl up there. I mean, there is a Bay Area team in the game, even though the game is not there. So what's it been like up there this past week or two?
a lot of homerism, a lot of delusional takes, which is not unusual. Which is not unusual for this region, but a lot of Brock Purdy conversation, a lot of, like I've been telling you and Danny, a lot of people trying to convince themselves that it's okay to bet against Patrick Mahomes, that this is our year, and that's what it's been like all this leading up to the Super Bowl. So I'm curious how this is going to go on Sunday. And depending on the outcome, which you already know what I believe the outcome is going to be, but I'm curious how things are going to go on Morning Talk Radio on Monday. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, so but isn't your pick also somewhat homerism?
No, not at all. Because and at this point, my hope is that you, Danny, and the listeners kind of know that at some point, I'm a purist around sports in particular. I'm going to lean towards what I would bet on, and I'm going to lean towards my homerism. And I try to draw that line. If I felt that the Niners were going to win, I would say it. Genuinely, I would say it. Real talk, I would. And then I would say where my heart is with the Chiefs. I genuinely believe, and I have believed throughout these playoffs, that the Chiefs were going to make it here. Primarily because, and I don't know if you want me to get into my analysis on what brought me to this point.
Let's get into it.
So here's the thing. Outside of the whole anecdotal don't bet against Patrick Mahomes thing, I have watched the 49ers, and I have watched them throughout the playoffs, and I have listened to people give them a pass to say that believe the on paper and not your eyes. All right? Believe that them going down by 17 points to the Detroit Lions and them coming back wasn't Dan Campbell being over aggressive. No, it was the real 49ers showing up. Oh, let's rewind to the week before that. You know what? Aaron Jones and the Green Bay Packers running all over them at home was just rust. It was rust. And Jordan Love turned into a pumpkin in the fourth quarter when he threw across his body like he ended up doing it, and they sealed the game. That wasn't the 49ers just kind of showing you that they got a bunch of holes in their game and their roster. Don't believe what you saw. Believe what we've been telling you on paper, that they're stacked as a roster on top to bottom. No, I believe what I saw, Ivy. I believe that they were taking on water during the run game. They couldn't stop Aaron Jones. They couldn't stop the Detroit Lions run game with Gibbs and Montgomery. They made Jordan Love look like Joe Montana revisited. So now you bring in the Chiefs into town. And I've seen what they have done, and people get so fixated on narratives that Tyreek Hill is gone, even though Chiefs won without him last year. Well, now the receivers can't catch the ball, and Travis Kelce is distracted, and look at the drop he's had, and all of that. Well, now I believe what I've seen, Avi, and I've seen two teams trending in opposite directions, that the Chiefs defense, especially their pass defense, which I believe they're going to force Brock Purdy to throw that ball and win, and they're going to stop and stack the box against McCaffrey and that run game and that short pass Debo Samuel game. And it's playing right into these ships crossing in the night of what we've seen with the Niners and what we're now seeing with the Chiefs. And again, I would put my money where my mouth is on the Chiefs. So it's not homerism in the least bit. My head and my heart are on the Chiefs.
Yeah, and just for the record, I do agree. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I did bet on them already to win as soon as the line came out. I did. But I do have to play some devil's advocate here because, I mean, I see how anyone watching the playoffs would say that the Chiefs have looked good, but they did not look this good in the regular season at all. They looked horrible at times. They lost to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. They had a really hard time moving the ball, kicking a lot of field goals, not finishing drives. How did you come to the conclusion? Because, even the best, Tom Brady didn't win it every year. He won it a bunch of times, but he didn't win it every year. Patrick Mahomes obviously isn't going to win it every year. So how did you, during the season that the Chiefs had, still come to the conclusion before the playoffs started that they were going to wind up here in the Super Bowl?
Because I saw the trends. I saw that, and I think I mentioned this the last time the group chat we were on, was I noticed that Andy Reid was deferring. He was allowing the pendulum to shift from Patrick Mahomes winning the games to now that defense. He was shifted. He started to play, and I was somewhat taken aback when they went for it on fourth down early in the Baltimore game, because it was an about face of kind of what Andy Reid had done throughout the season, of just kind of cutting his losses and realizing we ain't got it like we used to on offense. We're not lighting up the scoreboard, so let's not do that. We got a defense that's legit. We got a secondary that's one of the tops in the league that ultimately end up saving the day. We're bottling up Lamar Jackson. He's not getting loose like that. And it started happening weeks and weeks prior to that. I first noticed it, Avi, back when they played the Dolphins over in Germany, I think it was. It was part of that European series. Mm-hmm. And they had Tyreek, and Tyreek was caught on Mike afterwards and said, y'all boys legit on defense. They had no answers, and they were healthy. This was before they started getting banged up. They had Mostert, they had Waddle, they had Tyreek. They were good, and the Chiefs locked them down. Couldn't move the ball on offense, but locked them down. And I said, okay, if Andy Reid leads into this and doesn't get arrogant and try to force Patrick Mahomes to be MVP, which he was not, I believe we got something here. And that's what has happened. And it's about who's playing hot right now, not about who is typically the team that has started off hot. How often do they win the Super Bowl? Even go back to the 18-0 Patriots.
Yeah.
We all thought they were going to win it. And who was the hottest team at the time? All right. So that's typically what happens in the NFL is it's the war of attrition, who can stay healthy at the end, but also who's the hottest at the end. And the Chiefs have been gaining heat for weeks now.
That's true. They have. Andy, jump in here.
To add on what Dr. Fletcher had to say, I think a lot of it also had to do with brother Kadarius Toney being benched or, not playing because, he was doing a lot of talking, a lot of riffraff, but he was also dropping passes as well, too. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say MVS was also dropping passes.
Oh, yeah.
And then there, the emergence.
They all were.
And then the emergence of Rashee Rice. I felt, or Pacheco, excuse me, they started really running the ball a lot more. But I think those adjustments as well was helping them actually win games during these playoffs.
Yeah, Toney wasn't only dropping passes; he was lining up off sides. I mean, how you line up in the secondary when you're a receiver? I mean, come on now, brother. You that's a mistake you can't make.
All of them were. Chiefs led the league in drop passes. Kelsey was part of that drop party too. Kelsey had to fess up too. All of them were. Rashee Rice was really the only one who was stepping up. Sky Moore has been out, hurt. Our first round draft pick last year, who showed up big in the playoffs in the Super Bowl last year. Jerick McKinnon, who has been our unsung hero coming out of the backfield, has been hurt the last several weeks. He was activated for Sunday, but they said it's a long shot he's going to play. All these nip and tuck. Football is really a game of inches, like on and off the field, to get you potentially in a position to win. And any little injury, a key player who plays a significant role, even if he's not the star like Kelsey and Mahomes and Pacheco is starting to become, it's usually those unsung pieces that ultimately win these ball games. And that's what happened last year in the Super Bowl with Toney coming up big, Sky Moore coming up big, a huge scoop and score by Nick Bolton. It's going to be won by the unsung positions. And if those people are sitting out because of injury or whatever, that's going to play a huge, huge factor in this. And the 49ers secondary has been ravaged by injuries. and that's been part of the conversation up here as well, is how can we protect against our weaknesses, mainly I think a second or third string Ambry Thomas in their secondary that folks have been picking on relentlessly out there. So there's a whole lot of X's and O's behind the numbers types of reasons why I feel so confident, but ultimately they got to go execute.
They do have to execute. When we come forward, we're going to continue the conversation, and I agree with a lot of what was said, and I certainly thought the Niners should have lost last week, and I would say also, though, that the Chiefs did get a little fortunate in that game against Baltimore with the really perplexing game plan that the Ravens came out with, only running the ball, I don't know, like 6 times in that game or something, which is wild. I mean, to running backs. And then also just the very fortuitous fumble that they got on the goal line. Yeah, L'Jarius Sneed did force that fumble, but I mean, if old boy doesn't dive, if Zay Flowers doesn't dive unnecessarily to the goal line when you already have a first down, there's plenty of time left. And I hate when players do that. I hate when players dive for the end zone and extend the ball when you don't have to. If it's not 4th and goal, or there's not a time limit, if you're not like in the last 2 minutes of the game, then don't do that, because you're sacrificing ball security because you're trying to get in the end zone right now when you just don't have to. But I just say the Chiefs got their level of got some luck in that game, but other than that, they've looked completely dominant, and I still don't have faith in Brock Purdy. I just do not. That little pea shooter arm, just it always looks like you always wonder if the ball's going to get there, and somehow it does most of the time. But when he gets tapped, that ball just goes up in the air like a punt. So when we come forward, we'll finish out this conversation, and we'll I guess we'll get Andy's official pick, because I think I know where he's leaning, but we'll wrap it up here when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA Can believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, wrapping up the Friday group chat here on the Friday edition of Areva Martin Real Time. It's Avi Bernard here with Dr. Sean Fletcher of San Jose State University. And, of course, Candy Andy is joining us as well. So, Andy, what's up? You got the Chiefs in this game as well?
I got the Chiefs winning 24-21.
We got a score.
I got a score, yeah.
All
24-21.
All right.
3 points.
I like that. And so what does worry me a little bit is that the four of us, you, Andy, Dr. Fletcher, myself, and Danny Griffin, all pick the Chiefs. Whenever you have something like that happen.
You know what that means.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little worrisome for that reason. But moving on, since we all got our picks in, we analyzed the game. Let's just talk quickly about the Lakers. The trade deadline was yesterday, and they did not make any moves at the deadline. And I knew that they were going to be playing the Nuggets last night, and I was wishing they could have had that game before the trade deadline so we could have got just one more measuring stick game against a good team. But although they did just beat the Celtics and the Knicks back-to-back on the road, which is huge. And one of those games was without LeBron and AD. So I think they have enough to compete. And they've had injuries and stuff, but I don't know. What do you think on this, Dr. Fletcher? Do the Lakers have enough to compete in the Western Conference? They did get to the Western Conference Finals last year, largely with this roster, and I believe they improved that roster. So what's been the deal so far this season, and do they have a chance to compete for a title this year?
I think they do. I think the only reason that things were quiet during the deadline, and the reports kind of came out, is that D'Angelo Russell decided to become Cinderella again. And I'm hoping he doesn't turn into a pumpkin at some point. That's the risk in all of it, is that, it's almost like a player on a contract year. Can you really trust that performance? Is it going to stand up? Is it going to, once he gets that money, is it going to stand up? Well, now that D'Lo didn't get traded, is he going to continue playing as well as he has been playing the last few weeks? Because by and large, the reports are saying, and Wojnarowski and a bunch of others, Mark Spears and a bunch of other folks basically said that's the only reason that we didn't see like a DeJounte Murray come here or someone else, was because D'Lo started playing better, but then also they didn't want to give up that first round pick. And effectively, they stood pat until the offseason, when I believe 3 first-round picks they'll be able to use, because they've been trading so many recently. The rules say you can't trade the back-to-back years. So I think that when some folks get healthy, and my hope is that, with Vincent, that we don't get caught into that whole Miami Heat trap of they play well down there under Spoelstra, and then when they leave, they don't play well. My hope is that when he's healthy, when we start getting some of the bench healthy, and I've liked the way Austin Reeves has started to pick things back up again. I think with all these additions, he lost his identity a little bit from a rotation standpoint. But again, I'm starting to see Bron be more sort of deferential. He's not being as aggressive. So I think he's at the point where he has to start clocking his minutes and paying more attention to it. It's just tricky. It's a dicey situation. I think if we can hover around, I don't want to see us in the play-in. I want to see us get one of those final spots to where we're not in a similar situation as some of these other teams and like Miami last year. But it's dicey because we don't have a super old team, but we're top heavy and they are aging, right? So how all that's going to come together, I'm curious to see how that's going to go. So I think we'll still be around the playoff picture when things shape up.
Andy, what do you think?
Man, Dr. Fletcher knocked it out the park again. The only thing I'm gonna say about the Lakers is, that game against Boston when LeBron and AD was out, you could just see the ball movement. Just it looked beautiful. They were even moving without the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And hopefully, they can continue with that trajectory. The fact that LeBron is being more deferential, we have the capabilities of playing well. Last thing I'm going to say is the Lakers need to retire the Mamba jerseys because every time they wear it, we always lose.
True that.
Wow, man. Yeah, it's I do have a little bit of a bias disorder when it comes to the Lakers. I do think they still have a shot, but again, last year when I picked them early, and they almost came through. They went further than almost everyone said that they could. So I think they have a great chance. I think they just gotta get their rotation solidified. I think if you got Jerry Vanderbilt playing the way he was before he got hurt again, I mean that is just such a game changer. And if Russell can continue to shoot anywhere near the way he has been, he ain't got to shoot like he's been making everything, but he's got to just make some shots here and there. That's all they need, and be smart with the ball. I think they got a great chance, and they played without Russell last night, almost beat the Nuggets. Nuggets always seem to make the shots when they freaking count the most. I can't stand them right now. But they're like the new Supersonics. Like back in the day when the Sonics used to always beat us, hence the line in the Ice Cube song, the Lakers beat the Supersonics was part of his Dream Day. But anyway, Dr. Fletcher, always a pleasure to have you on the show and be part of the group chat. Don't get too bogged down out there with all the homerism in the Bay Area. And how can we find you online?
You can find me across all the different social media channels. Unlike our good buddy Danny, that we didn't get to rib before he jumped offline. Sean J. Fletcher across Twitter /X and Instagram and Threads as well.
Andy, where can we find you at online? Oh, he's put the mic down. He's not sharing right now. All right, it's you can find me at Avi Bernard, of course, on Instagram as well. Have a great weekend. The Robin Ayers is next with the Raw Report. Happy Super Bowl weekend. I'm Avi Bernard, and I am gone.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tyreek Wynn. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A group of black voters from St. Petersburg joins others from around the state to lobby state lawmakers in Tallahassee on Equal Ground Day. Trania Cox with the St. Petersburg branch of the NAACP tells News Channel 8 they don't want Florida to go backwards on civil rights and human rights issues. Cox says they're concerned about bills to abolish local